Hi guys, welcome to the video. This one has been hugely requested and I've been really looking forward to making this video because I have so much to talk about. If you don't know, I have posted about this kind of topic many times before, but this I feel is overdue that we have a catch up on what's changed compared to when I first made my videos, because the most popular one that I've put out was made, honestly, before I even started work. So I truly did not know what I was talking about. Definitely start now, because it can be a long process. And then once you get, compared to now, I have so much more experience and knowledge and advice for you that's actually relevant and going to help you with your journey to coming to Whistler, or honestly any ski resort or Canada in general. So in this video, I really want to talk about the timing of everything, because the timing is truly one of the most important things that you need to be aware of in terms of getting your visa and applying for jobs and coming over. That part is a lot to take in and a lot to consider when you're planning your trip. So we'll talk about that. I'm going to go into more detail a little bit about the recruiting process and what you kind of need to plan for and how you can make sure that what you're doing to plan your working holiday actually suits what you're looking for. Because for instance, me coming over, I just was focused on housing and I wasn't focused about anything else. And everything worked out for me, which is great. But if I'd had my time again and knowing what I know now, I would probably try and tailor things to my needs, because even though it's something really, really scary, there is still opportunity for you to have your priorities. And, if there's something that you really, really want, I think there's huge opportunity for you to be able to get that. So don't feel like you have to lower yourself too much to be able to come over. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about the different jobs and what everything kind of means, because I know it's very overwhelming when you're first thinking about coming over. It's like, I don't even know what job I can get, what the hours are like. It's very confusing, especially if you've never done a ski season, which I had, and I'm like, I don't even know what the heck is going on. I didn't even know what a gondola was. So yeah, let's get into it. A really important part of the journey too is obviously building a resume. If you've never built a resume before, it is a little bit overwhelming. And then obviously tailoring that to a working holiday or ski season is different again. So I am going to post a separate video on that, and hopefully it'll be here somewhere when I have it uploaded. Firstly, the timing. Like I said, the timing is very, very important. So the winter season is generally from November to April/May. That's kind of like winter into spring. That is the winter season. That is when you usually have a contract. A seasonal contract is either a winter contract or a summer contract. So if you're coming over for a winter season, you'll start work in November and you'll finish work in April or May, depending on the weather and the contract and the ski resort and all that. Plan to be coming over in November. Now, the exact date kind of depends. For Whistler, they generally open the third week of November. So that means you start work usually 1 or 2 weeks prior. Depending on your job, you're either going to start early or mid-November, generally. Use that as a rough guide. Keep in mind there are also later date starts as well. So we have some people that start in November, and then we have some people start in December, because it's not super busy straight away. So if you have something that's booked, like a wedding or something really, really important, but you still want to come to a ski season, but you won't be able to get there till December, that is definitely still an option for you. But housing might be a lot harder for you. So as of right now, filming this, it's January 2026, which means the upcoming winter season is going to be winter 26-27, which will start November 2026. We'll just go with that for now. Say that's a plan. I would give yourself almost a year. So say you're seeing everyone do their winter season right now and you're like, man, I really, really want to do that. This right now, you've got basically 10 months to organize it if you're starting in January, right? So the first thing you need to do is start organizing your visa. That's the most important part. You can't come and work in Canada if you don't have the visa. That process can really, really vary on how fast or slow it is, because basically when you apply for your visa, you first go into a pool system, and from there it's very random, like a lottery system, on whether you will be invited to apply for your visa. So there's obviously steps to that. Then once you are invited to apply, then it takes a certain amount of time to get all your documents, get everything processed, and then you also have to do your biometrics, which is where you got to give your fingerprint, and that could be in a different state. So keep in mind that takes time as well, and money and everything else. And keep in mind that's the stage where things can potentially go wrong for you. If you have a criminal history or something that you forgot about, that's when things can come up. If your birth certificate is wrong, or I don't know, things can happen at that stage, and you need to get that sorted ASAP. So then once that's all sorted, you got your visa, you're good to go. Once you have your visa, you have 1 year to activate it, as in come to Canada and activate it to get your work permit. If you don't understand all of that, there's separate videos about that in more detail, because honestly, the visa part's very confusing, but let's just say that's all sorted for you. Then what happens around July or August or September, it kind of depends on the ski resort, but somewhere around that time is when winter jobs become live. So most ski resorts hire early so that they can get everything organized, ready for winter. So what I would suggest is keeping an eye out on the main company's website. So Whistler Blackcomb is their resorts. It will be very obvious when the jobs go live. There'll be so many saying winter job or winter housing or whatever it says. It'll be very, very obvious when that happens. In the meantime, you'll see like year-round positions or summer positions. That's when you know the winter ones haven't really gone live yet. I have found that Whistler tends to go live earlier than others. I've said before, but like when I'd already had my Whistler job organized by the time that Banff had put their jobs out. So all the ski resorts come out at different times, which can be good and can be bad. If you apply for one and then you don't get it, then at least you know you probably have more coming. From there, the process of actually getting your job offer can really, again, vary on a lot of things. Sometimes it can be very fast. Sometimes it can, take a couple of tries. You might get declined from the first few. A lot of the main winter jobs are entry-level jobs. So if you don't know what that means, it's basically like an unskilled job. Basically, anyone can do it with very simple training. So think of food and beverage, retail, ticket scanning, cleaning, being a lift operator. A lot of those things is very, very simple training, and you can do that job. So they're not looking for any sort of experience or skill in particular for you to be able to get the job. So what can sometimes happen is when you've applied for a job really fast and then you've been declined, it's not anything against you, most likely. It's probably due to the fact that there was so many people applying and you might have just missed out because of timing. I had a few people that have had that situation happen to them last year. They were really fast on it, but then they were declined their first few jobs and really starting to stress out. And I believe everyone that I was speaking to ended up getting a job. So please don't freak out if that first job offer you get declined. Don't think, oh my God, this is the end of the world. Number one, there's other jobs, other ski resorts, whatever. And number two, those jobs might end up opening up. So I think someone that I know applied for a lifty or whatever it was, got declined, was really stressed out, and ended up getting a lifty job eventually anyway, because then more went live. So don't think that anything is the end of the world when you start this process. I know it can be so intimidating, but honestly, it all works out generally. That disclaimer, generally. I just don't want you to be freaking out. Like I know it's scary, but trust me, it'll be okay. So yeah, back to the timing. Obviously, that's that few months of getting your job offer, and then there might be a little bit of down period where like nothing's happening. You've got the job, but maybe it's like September and you haven't really heard anything. Don't stress. You've still got the job. That's fine. Then in October is when you'll start getting welcome emails and more information on your first day of work and that kind of thing. Everything happens at the time that it needs to happen. Don't stress out in August if you're like, I don't know my first day of work. Trust me, like it's going to be okay. That you'll get all the relevant information in the appropriate time. Like I said, November is when you're going to come over and then you're going to start work. So I would give yourself at least a week or a couple of days in Vancouver beforehand so that you can get your SIN and get everything organized, maybe even a few days in Whistler before you start work, and then you'll start work and that's your winter started. So that's the timing of everything. On that though, the thing that is the most stressful I've found is housing. So if you don't know, it's really hard to get housing in Whistler and other ski towns because they're just small towns, right? They were not designed for millions of people. So there's a huge housing shortage basically anywhere that you go. So generally people are looking to live in staff housing because number one, it's already organized for you and you don't have to worry. Number two, it's cheap. It's so much cheaper than anywhere else you're going to find in town. Staff housing is the hot commodity, right? However, there are not enough beds for all the staff. If you consider one department of food and beverage has, let's say, 800 staff members, there are not 800 beds for everyone. There's maybe say 200 beds. So not everyone is going to be able to get staff housing. So that's the thing that goes the quickest. That is probably the thing that I would prioritize. If you have a job offer, double check whether it comes with staff housing. You can say to them, is there staff housing? Or you can say in an interview, make sure you're clear on whether you have staff housing or not, and then maybe let that be the dictator on whether you take the job or not. Some places might say, hey, we have a job for you, but no house. Maybe don't say yes to that and see if there's something else comes up with housing. If you are coming late in the season or you've really missed the window on the housing, don't stress. There are options for you. They're just obviously not as cheap or not as easy. So then a lot of people end up going into a share house, which is where you obviously rent a room or whatever in a bigger house. Harder to organize, harder to find, more expensive, but not impossible. So I won't go into too much detail on that because it's kind of a separate issue, but just know that if you want to come over and you've found a job but haven't found housing, it is not impossible for you. It is a very common experience for a lot of people. Even though it is the scarier option, it's still an option for you. I'm sorry guys, I was trying to keep this short and sharp, but I don't think that that's happening. Let's talk about how they hire. Now, disclaimer, this is what I'm assuming. I don't know for sure. I don't work there anymore. And even if I did, no one probably knows the exact system of how the recruiting and hiring is organized. I mean, someone maybe does, but I don't. This is all what I would assume just from my knowledge of the place and my background in recruiting. Something that's definitely more relevant now than when I first made my videos back in 2022 is I would assume most of the hiring for entry-level jobs is facilitated by some sort of AI. I don't think it's at the point where AI is hiring everybody, but I definitely think there would be some sort of AI used to help sort through resumes for entry-level roles. Something to keep in mind also is Whistler and a lot of other big ski resorts, they're part of a big corporation. So Whistler Blackcomb is owned by Vail Resorts, which is a huge corporation. So all these companies have certain systems in place and certain programs that they use. So it's not just, a family business where you're emailing one person and oh yeah, you got the job. It's not like that at all. You're working with a huge corporation. So like I said, you'll get all the relevant information at the time you need to. Don't be emailing someone 24/7. They have a lot going on. Generally, there's a recruiter for each department. Please don't be emailing someone or whoever you can contact or trying to find random emails of different people. Don't try and do that because it's just going to get very, very confusing and messy and too much, and you just have to trust the process. If something's truly not working for you, then yes, that's when I would email someone. But until then, if you're running into you're not sure about something, make sure you go through all the information they give you first, because generally all your answers will be, all your questions will be answered there. Please, it's very overwhelming and bombarding when people are sending emails, and it just gets even more confusing than it already is. So like I said, you're dealing with a big corporation and they're trying to filter the staff into those entry-level roles. Like I said, there's a separate video on how to build your resume, but just for a quick dot point summary of what I would do, I would make sure that your resume is as clear as possible. Don't, some just get so noisy and too much. Think if an AI was scanning through your resume, what it's going to be looking for. Like I said, it's entry level, so they're not looking for a specific skill, but it's probably looking for some keywords. So making sure you're using those really keywords to make your resume stand out or look professional or look clean or look well put together. And then make sure that the descriptions that you're using for the job role and job duties are understandable in different countries. You know, don't have the name of some little cafe that you worked at as the main part of your resume, because the AI is not going to know that, and someone looking at your resume from Canada is not going to know that. They're not going to know, are you serving food? Are you serving drinks? Like, it doesn't know that cafe. So make sure it's very clear, you know, cafe manager or I don't know, customer service attendant, whatever it is, make it really clear of what your job title was. Because again, it's going to be looking for those key things, and they're the things that need to stand out. Your main job history, your main duties as clear as possible, and then your relevant skill set under that. I wouldn't go into much more detail than that. If you're looking for like a skilled role, that's a little different, and I'll go into that in more detail in my other video. But assume that an AI is scanning through your resume and make it clear for that AI to be able to spot you. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense. And again, this is just my assumption. I don't know anything for sure, but if I was looking for a job for the upcoming winter season, that is the route that I would take. Hopefully, if you're lucky, you will apply for a job and then you'll get an email or whatever, and it will say, yeah, you got a job, and it'll be simple. If not, there's an opportunity that you might get, might be invited to an interview. If that's the case, make sure that you do the interview. Obviously, do an interview. Even if it's at 2 a.m. or some crazy time, just do the freaking interview. I had an interview for my role and it was fine. So make sure that you do an interview if you're invited to one. Even if it's something that you, it wasn't your first choice, just do it anyway. Better to be safe. And my advice, if you're having an interview, if it's for a skilled role, obviously, again, focusing on those skills and making sure it's clear on what your skill set is, getting that across to someone. If it's just more for an entry-level role, make sure that you are showing your personality and your attitude. I think that is the thing that someone's looking for in an interview, and that's the thing that kind of crosses through, especially in a ski resort. It's, like I said, big company, lots of staff. It's a very social environment. So your social skills are very, very important. I would suggest in your interview making sure that you're very professional, but a little more over the top than you normally are. How I'm talking to you guys right now is not how I talk in normal life, I can tell you that. So just make sure you really put your energy across, being friendly and being polite and having good energy. I don't know if I can do an example. I'll try. Now I'm nervous. Okay. Oh, hey, yeah. Worked in a cafe, made coffee, right? That's how I talk in a normal conversation. If it was for my interview, I would probably be more like, yeah, I worked at a cafe in the city. I was making coffee. We were making around like 500 coffees a day, which, you know, is really crazy, but it kept me busy and I was really excited about that. And I loved coming to work and being busy. Sorry, that took a lot of energy. You know, really just bring your energy across, because it's going to be a video call and people really read energy. I think that's really, really important. So even if you're shy, like I'm a shy person, and if you've never had an interview or never had a job or whatever it is, I know it can be really, really intimidating, but just know the person on the other side, they're not judging you at all. They honestly just want to meet you and say hello and get to know you. That's all they're doing. They're not testing you, they're just having a chat with you. So just try and remain calm. Like, there was a point where I was doing interviews and honestly I was scared when I was like, oh my god, I've got to talk to people, but like honestly there's nothing to be scared of. You're not going to fail. You're just having a chat to someone, and just try and, if you have the, you know, there's a good chance to practice your confidence in just being a little louder and a little bit more energetic than you normally would be. That's what I would suggest. And you can say, hey, I know Caitlin Janet. And then they'll say, oh my God, hi. No, I'm just kidding. If you do get an interview in food and beverage, you can say my name. They will probably know me. They won't know me as Caitlin Janet, but you can say Caitlin that works at Rendezvous and they will hopefully know me. It'd be awkward if they don't, then it's just like, oh my God. Anyway, that's irrelevant. A little more on the actual jobs, because yeah, when I was coming over, I just was thinking, I don't even know what I was thinking. Maybe lifty. A lot of people relate ski jobs to being a lifty, which is when you're working outside and working on the lifts. Yes, that is one department. And if you're really, really keen for that, let me just break it down for you. Being a lifty has a lot of great benefits. Some of them get to work only 4 days a week, which is, in terms of a ski season job, working 4 on 3 off is just the ideal most of the time. And yes, they get to be out in the snow and sometimes get to go riding for work or having ride breaks. That is the positive. The negative is that it is a very boring job. You're just standing there outside all day. No matter the weather, you're going to be outside. So even if it's -20, -30, you are the one that's probably going to be outside. It's a lot of just standing on your feet all day, dealing with customers all day, but like not in a good way. So just keep that in mind. If you're a person that likes to be busy, I don't think being a lifty is for you. Just putting that out there. And then if you are a person that's never worked in food and beverage or hospitality and you're like, ew, I do not want to do that, disgusting, like Stefan was, just let me tell you that, what can I tell you? You get tips, most likely. Most food and beverage roles get tips. No other department gets any tips, which is very good for your bank account. You get free food, most likely, and, you know, free coffee, free drinks, basically whenever you want, which is amazing. Again, no other department gets free food and drink that I'm aware of. They get cheaper, but not free. So that's free lunch and maybe sometimes even food that you can take home that's left over. So that's a win. You're working with a huge group of staff and you get to hang out with people all day and you get to listen to music if you're lucky, and overall great vibe. So just putting that out there. Also on that, if you have been offered a back house role and you're like, oh my God, I don't know how to work in a kitchen, do not stress, especially if it's for like an entry level role. You're not working in a kitchen. It's like basically a fake kitchen. You're just serving food. So if you are a girl and you are wanting to work in food and beverage, honestly, I highly recommend back house. The back of house people, they know back of house is better. I don't want to deter you from front of house, but don't be scared of back of house 100%. If you get offered a back of house role and you're like, oh my God, don't you stress at all, because back of house is where it's at. I promise you that. What I'm trying to say is there are lots and lots of roles throughout the ski resort and throughout the town. And you can really start to expand your job search if you want to. Or if there's a point where you haven't got the job that you want and then you're stressing, that's when it's really important that you start to expand and start to think outside the box in terms of work. So if you don't know, you can work for the actual resort itself, which is, if it's in Whistler, it's Whistler Blackcomb. That means you're working for Vail Resorts. So like I said, we have food and beverage, we have lifties, retail, rentals, base operations, a bunch of stuff, right? That's for the mountain. But then there are so many other places that you can work as well. Obviously, lots of hotels in town, Fairmont, etc. You can work in a hotel. Hotels have multiple job roles as well. Front desk, housekeeping, maintenance, don't know what else, but stuff for the hotels. Then you've got other food and beverage businesses in town, because there's pubs and clubs and grocery stores and cafes and all that. So then you can do a little Google, be like, cool, they have these grocery stores, I can apply here, they've got these cafes, they've got this, and you can apply for those jobs. You've got snow removal, you've got, I don't know, I'll put a list because I always forget because I'm so focused on my own my own shit. But there are so many job options, and if you want to stick with something that you're already good at, then there's definitely opportunity there. If you want to go for something that you're skilled in, there's opportunity there. And if you want to just do something that's completely different, then that's fine. Start with the things that you're really prioritizing. If you want a 3-day weekend because you want to ride all the time, then maybe you get like a shitty dishwasher job, but you get 3-day weekend, so it's worth it for you. If you only want to work nights and really want to ride every single day, you want to get in 100 days of riding, then find a nighttime job. There's definitely nighttime jobs. There's like overnight hotel jobs if that's really what you want to prioritize. If you want, I don't know, whatever you want, prioritize that, and you can find it 100%. And then if you are struggling to find it, then that's when, okay, then you have to let go of some of those priorities, but maybe not forever. Maybe once you get there, then you can change jobs. So really think about what you like to do. Don't lower yourself straight away. You know, I was applying for like housekeeping jobs and like terrible jobs that I would not like that. There's jobs that I would just not like at all. So I'm really glad that I didn't get those jobs, because I would have had a shit time. Maybe not a shit time, but you know, there was better opportunity for me. So that's my suggestion. And like I said, you can find jobs on the websites when they go live. You can find jobs on Facebook. There'd definitely be a Facebook group. And then if you have the time and energy, definitely think outside the box and, you know, email people in advance. If you are really skilled in something, say you're like a maintenance person or whatever, email smaller companies ahead of time and say, hey, I'm coming over for winter. These are my credentials. Give them all the information, and then maybe they'll say, hey, like, thanks for letting me know. Like, you know, I'll be in contact closer to it. Something like that. You don't have to wait for the job to come up. Obviously, for a company like Vera Resorts, I wouldn't go email someone and be like, oh, I want to work this winter. They're obviously going to say, wait for the job postings. But for smaller businesses, definitely take that opportunity, and you'd be surprised what comes up. Something else that I will touch on that is kind of hard to predict, but it's still relevant, is I first worked for Whistler in 22-23. A lot of people got jobs very easily because it was basically the first proper winter back after COVID, and not as many people were applying to come over. So it was very easy for people to get jobs. And then there were a lot of people that, you know, were not the best workers and they still managed to have jobs, which looking back, I'm like, how did you manage to have this job? But anyway, now I don't know about this year coming, but when the demand for when there are more people applying for jobs, that means that they're more selective with who they hire. So if it's a year where there's so many people looking to come over to Whistler and they just have so many people applying, then there's more of a chance that they're going to say, hey, well, I'm not going to hire this person who needs to take off a month during January, or I'm not going to hire this person who's never had a job ever, or whatever. I don't know if that's what they use, but that's what I would assume is happening. Or for those more skilled roles, let's say it's like a chef role and you have so many people applying that have really, really great experience, then it's going to come down to, you know, who has the most experience or who, like, you know, seemed the best on the interview. There's going to be a lot more filtering because of the demand. So keep that in mind. The more people that are coming, you know, it's not just like, oh, it's an entry level job, so I'll definitely get it. There might still be some filtering. So that's why it is really important to make sure that your resume looks really good and to make sure that you do really good on the interview, because those things can factor in. That's the most important things I would say for, you know, my updated version of coming over for 26-27 is, yeah, making sure you have a clear resume, which I'm going to put the video. Sorry, I never know which side. I'll put here and I'll put it in the description on much more detail on writing a resume and making it really clear, and I can help you with that for sure. And then, so making sure your resume is really good, expanding your job search, being really great on the interview, being great with your timing. Timing is everything, guys. That's it. I think if you have any more questions about anything to do with the hiring or anything in general, like, just leave a comment below and I can help you out. Or if you have something personal or particular that you want help with, just message me on Instagram and I can chat and I can give you more tailored advice, because I know some of it is very particular for, you know, where you're coming from or what your plans are or whatever. So if you need something more tailored, 100% I'm happy to help. And yeah, if you need more help with the visa process or anything to do with Whistler, I do have a working holiday ebook guide available for purchase. There'll be a link in the description for sure. It's basically a step-by-step on how to get your visa and just the whole process in general. When I was doing it, it was just, there was so much noise, so much stuff on the internet that I had to read through. So I decided to make an ebook that can just summarize everything in one place and you don't have to go searching for everything. So if you're interested in that, that's in the description. If you have any more queries about anything to do with Whistler, working holiday, visa, anything, I have like 10,000, maybe not 10,000, but I have a lot of good videos for you. And yeah, make sure you subscribe, because I'm going to keep putting out Whistler content because it's my favorite and I really enjoy helping you guys come over here. And yeah, I really appreciate you guys for watching. I hope this helped, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.